Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
Happy birthday, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much. I was late today. I've been busy with some other things. Thank you very much for all the best wishes. For past couple of weeks, we've been busy with a lot of things, so just managed to make it before it's too late. Thank you very much for all the best wishes. I hope it will be a beautiful year this year. The Iranian Keshe Foundation has already tonight celebrated, and they had a party at the Keshe Foundation Center in Tehran. And it was nice to hear. I think Azar was there as well. I don't know. I don't see her here tonight. And thank you very much for everything. And in a way, it's a birthday for all of us. We start a new cycle. And the way we say it, a very, very important cycle starts from the 3rd. I hope we could be part of it and see how we can construct it the right way, the correct way. And this is part of the work we at the moment we are very busy with. It's a point that if we could get to where and how we want to within the next 2 or 3 months, it will be a breakthrough for the foundation. A lot of work we've done on the basis of it and behind it. But in general, as part of what will happen is another number, another day. And as the Chinese say, you start the second cycle when you're 60. So I'm only 3 years old, still a child and playful. And let's see what comes up. Thank you very much for all your support over years and years. And I hope there'll be a lot to come.
Since you've completed so many different cycles on this planet, is there any birthday in particular that stands out for you? It must have been all different sort of dates over thousands of years.
One day I explained this. I had to explain this some years ago. And one day I explained this and you will understand the reason for it.
Thank you.
This question was asked from me by a religious guy. And I answered in a very, very beautiful way, but as a religious man, he could understand. There is a huge expectation that a lot of things will happen this year, especially on the religious side. We were told by one of religious leaders and groups in past few days that inside Vatican, they are waiting for appearance of Messiah this year or very soon. And they are doing everything that will be the only, what do you call it, group or religion that they can confirm is coming. I was thought it's very interesting to hear this from a religious Islamic leader. That the talks in Vatican is that this year what was promised will be accomplished, and Messiah will appear, and there will be the completion. And it's very interesting to see if it happens and what can be accomplished. But we'll wait and see.
You mean they're looking through one of their various telescopes and they see the Messiah arriving, perhaps?
I don't know what they are doing, but it was very interesting to hear it from a very, what do you call it, devoted Muslim, one of the leaders.
And I think it's past time the religious leaders joined, or we joined together to elevate the souls on this planet.
We got to wait and see. We all got to wait and see.
They expect the Mahdi's this year to come.
Yeah. And apparently, in many Islamic religion leaders, they're expecting this according to the hadiths, who they are aware of, whatever, because they were talking about the same, and they said the Vatican is moving very fast. We know the Jewish religious leaders have already predicted 2021, 2022 to be the completion of the cycle, according to theirs. But we have to wait and see.
That is the soul of the same Mitra, or if will be at the soul level, no? Mr. Keshe.
We have to wait and see.
And we will see the soul, we will feel, no? To see what's happened, I mean. And peace be with you and Mitra, with love, Mr. Keshe. I dedicated a poem for you, just appeared today for you, especially. Mitra did like this, not me.
Gail says, we are blessed to have you in the world and universe. Happy birthday, Mr. Keshe. And so many other different comments there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll see what happens this year. We expect a new, what I call, evolution, revolution in a lot of ways. Very, very much so. We'll see what comes up. Sorry, I'll miss your teachings today. I was busy somewhere else.
I know you were here on the soul level.
We wanted to join about 8 o'clock, 8:30, but it couldn't happen. And goes on, and we have to see what comes up.
I thank you for all the energy and time you spent in this meeting and elevation of the souls. So thank you so much.
I think we all start a new journey in the past 3-4 weeks. Pardon? I think all of us as a humanity started a new cycle, a new journey, which will bring us a lot of peace and a lot of positive moves. And then it'll be interesting to see how humanity changes from 2021. We've seen the pressures of the 20 and the year of uncertainty brought us, but it brought us a lot of understanding that we can do a lot of things we were not, or we thought we couldn't do. We saw mass self imprisonments and the rest. And we just got to see to what happens to all of us from what we learned. And it'll be an interesting cycle. We learned a lot of what I call leaders learned a lot. and we're going through the next phase. But most probably next few weeks, we'll see a bigger change. A lot of us we didn't expect. We hope that way, and it looks that way at the moment. But we'll see. We'll see what brings out and what will bring the change. For sure, we're not going back on the old track, and the new ways, the new sciences is very much on the verge of changing things. We are part of the change. We are not all the change. We are always not exclusive, but with it, we are part of that big change which is to come.
So will we see the doors of peace opening through the religious leaders first, as you had indicated, out of Iran first, and others will follow? Is that still on the
We
card?
will know this by most probably second weekend, not this week. I mean, we don't consider the first, by the second weekend of August, third weekend. We hopefully we'll see where we are and how things take shape. There's always a lot of hope when this situation comes up, but on the other hand, there is a lot of hope that there is a massive amount of change. A lot of world leaders are changing this year, and some already changed. And these people, when they come in, they bring with them new cycle of thinking. One of the worst leaders' school of thoughts is when they think they are there forever, and when they go down, they can still control in the background, and they realize once they leave the office that what they thought of, what they could think of, is not there. We'll see President Putin leaving office so shortly. The biggest we knew was stirring up and a lot of criminality Netanyahu has got. We see the new leadership in Israel. We see a new president in Iran in the next 48 hours. We see German Chancellor. German Chancellor has been one of the main elements of a lot of our instability in the West, especially everything which was totally German, she carried out. I said recently that Hitler took the army on the road, Merkel took the banks on the road. Germany literally in her time has changed position drastically. They literally, what they couldn't do with the Second World War, she has done in the time of her reign. She even brought Vatican to its knees. And we have seen what they've done. And this is a cycle we'll see. There'll be more new leaders in 2 or 3 other nations, which are key factors, and we'll see the changes. They come up with the new ideas. Putin always went out to come back in, but this time he goes out because he's got a very bad Parkinson. In the moment Merkel has got a Parkinson, Trump's got a, what do you call it? Putin's got a Parkinson, President Xi and another top members of CPC have Parkinson's. And one of the most powerful leaders of Middle East battling it with cancer very heavily, the Turkish leader. And with his wife, the same. Because she was a big element in his ruling. She was at the hub of the power in the background. Both husband and wife are battling cancer very heavily. And we will see the changes in that direction too. But it's a good time. We'll see what comes up.
So does this mean once we've gotten these leaders to sign the World Peace Treaty and dedicate, your work is complete here on this planet, or has it just begun again?
We just begun because we have to teach Universal Council to take position and time. The Universal Council needs to learn to count, to run. I was talking to some people recently, and they see the structure of Universal Council in a way will be taken up by part of United Nations, but will not succeed. The United Nations elements in the background who run it have looked at the way we set up the Universal Council, and they want to change their position as in a way, but they won't succeed with it because they see it as a taking over totally, because then it brings American and a number of English-speaking countries into power with China, and they will not have. We just got to wait and see.
So when you said in, I don't know if it was the last workshop, that you said we operate on the soul level, and if it takes us 500 or 1,000 years to make the complete change, it's only a few seconds for us. So it's not going to be like the snap of a finger where everything just changes overnight. It's going to be a process as well.
It has to be a process. Otherwise, we could have done this centuries ago. It has to be a process because it's in the nature of the man and the beast. We always look at the human piece, but we gotta bring the piece from lions to ants and the rest. And man has to change the condition of this planet. We'll see these changes.
Go ahead, Alex.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. I wonder if you could indulge me. I have a few slides to show for my presentation. I wonder if that would be okay with you.
Yep, we're all here to learn.
Well, it's just that you missed it.
I missed a lot of things.
No, we're here because you've helped us be here, but I had a little bit of a dilemma, and it had to do with the question of if mortal man can be an immoral man, and I thought that would be.
Let's just let me go somewhere. What do you mean by mortal?
Well, the way we understand mortality is in our physicality. It's a limiting factor. The mortal man being a limiting factor.
You mean and dying you're talking about?
Yes, exactly. So the point being is that the mortal man, and he wants to be an immoral man, and have we succeeded in that? I think we've been famously successful with that. But then the question is, can an immoral man be an immortal man? And I personally don't think that that's possible.
You see, you're playing with words.
Yes.
more, and then it makes a mindset. Mortality does not bring morality.
Well, that's exactly what I wanted to say.
And morality and mortality always been read back to front.
And that was
Immortal
my
people,
conclusion.
you see, immortal people has always been immoral. Or people who thought they're immortal, they took everything in their hand. We've seen it with present leaders, world leaders. A number of world leaders today have committed mass murders because they thought they're immortal. They stayed there till the end, the last breath. Nobody can touch them. And immortality has brought immorality in their work.
So this is the conclusion. Can mortal man be a moral man?
Yep, that's the whole purpose of the teaching.
Thank you so much.
That's, but the thing is, but you have to look at it. I split your mortality in two ways. Mortality as a soul or mortality as physicality. Because if you stay, if you know that you can stay longer, much longer than the physical dimension, but you can cocoon the physical dimension and the soul dimension, you will become moral. If you do wrong in physicality and jump into the soul and think you got away with it, then that's the time when you find out your soul will not accept your physicality. There is a very, very old scientific calculation that it says the heart of the man is tuned to beat on average so many times and then it stops working. That's a lifetime of a man on a physical dimension. You go on the internet, you can pick it up. I don't know, I can't remember the number of beats he has to do. And then he stops on average. So we can average out the rate of the mortality of the man by his heartbeat. But if you do what we call heinous crime at the age of 5 and live to find out what that crime has been at the age of 20, can you jump into the soul and go back and wash out or clean out what you did at the age of 5? And it comes to how many heartbeats does our soul have to come to its end and demise? And can that heartbeat change the heartbeat of the physicality? We start teaching these in the teachings to come. We have a heartbeat of a man. We have a heartbeat of a soul. We have a heartbeat of the soul of the planet. The principle doesn't change. But if the heartbeat of physicality is 1,000,000, the heartbeat of the soul is by order of magnitude much longer. But in a way, the dimension of universe is very small. Because in its dimension is a long time. When you look at the heartbeat of the man, we say 60 per second, then when you go to the heartbeat of the soul is how many per second? And then when you go to the heartbeat of the universe is how many per second of the man? And all this by the dimension changes. And we find out how insignificant we are. And then with that heartbeat, we know there's an average so much. Do we go to the higher order to hide from the lower order, taking over and ending the other one, or leading to the freedom of the other? if you know your heartbeat at 1 billion stops, would you do a marathon every day and run and get excited to bring the heartbeat closer that you die faster? Is this one of the reasons we see people with these conditions dying faster? Does the average of the heartbeat gets done? Or would we use a higher order to hide inside? Once we understand the power of the soul of the man, and then we find out even the soul of the man is a dimension of physicality to another soul. Would we hide to go to another soul dimension to change the physicality of the man in that dimension? It's a lot to be understood. We think our soul is in one of the intros, but people look at it not the way it's said. They look at it because they look at the physicality of it. When your soul becomes the sun and becomes center of another creation, then it's a physicality, and it has to have another soul for it if it's become manifestation of physicality. So now you become physicality to another dimension of the stronger that is soul of your physical soul. But this is a man doesn't understand this, and it's not the time to open this book yet. We always think that, as I said in the intros, so do you ever become immortal? But would you stay ever immoral because of immortality? Or because you know you're mortal, you don't do things wrong, that you stay moral? Now, which one are you, mortal or moral? Or if you stay moral, would you stay mortal? But would you accept if you're mortal that there's somebody else above you that you compare to him, you become mortal? Mortality has a dimension of time and space. But does morality have the dimension of time and space?
You didn't miss a thing. Thank you so much, Mr. Keshe. And happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much.
And I want to thank all the participants in the North American team, the North American International Corona team. Really, it's a big day.
But now we are lost between moral and mortal.
Yes,
I'll get
You
the
stay
third.
moral, forget about mortality. It'll come whenever it is.
he does know how to use a lot of brain twisters rather liberally.
August the 3rd is our anniversary for the World Peace Treaty. Let's make it happen. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, tomorrow is the anniversary of the universal establishment of Universal Council on World Peace Treaty. I remember clearly we were in the island of Sanya in South China Sea. And we were with other knowledge seekers and a present member of Universal Council in two adjacent accommodations where we could see each other, and we start telling about the presence of UFOs or the lights we all could see, even they were not with us, they were in the accommodation near us, a few meters away. We were all observing the presence of the UFOs, a massive order. And if you go back to the last minutes of getting the things done for the 2nd of August, this event happened, and it was more or less 4 of us watching it happening. And it was like, as I said to them, it was the approval of the establishment of the Universal Council by universal community. And those of you who were there at that time, writing the last sentences and correcting the last things that you could be going through in the morning of the 2nd of August, we were most probably part of this conversation when we explained we could see huge lights covering the South China Sea, and within it, the lights of UFOs. And it was an amazing experience for the knowledge seekers who were with us in that event, around about 1 o'clock in the morning. And it was an amazing experience. And I said, the Universal Council, what we call the birth of it and the establishment of the peace treaty, has been accepted by the universal community. And it's strange that these events happen when we are about to do something. We saw them in the presence of the Brazil conference. As we landed, they were present above the skies, and we videoed it. And it seems to be part of our structure. And it's amazing how Universal Council gradually will take over all these mayhems. And we're seeing them, they came in with different thoughts, they came in different ways of damaging or building or improving. And those who came with the good intentions have built up, and we'll see the Universal Council will go from strength to strength. And it's more or less their birthday more than anything else. When we accepted the peace treaty as part of the structure.
Today is also the Holocaust remembering of Jewish and Roma population. And maybe your day of birth is related with these injustices. Do not have in the future never such a Holocaust against any population and any souls of this planet.
This cycle we didn't learn anything from it. The Holocaust was nothing learned from it in a way. When we see the establishment of the State of Israel and what they've done worse than what was done by what I call Hitler. We've seen 40 years of engagement and engagement of hundreds of thousands of people in an open prison, I call it, for a long time. They should have changed. The Holocaust hasn't stopped. It's just changed name. Those who were the victims, now they become predators. We haven't learned anything from it. You learn nothing from it. Hitler brought Auschwitz and the rest of it. Jewish State of Israel has brought West Bank and Gaza strips. When there is no border, when there is no nationality, it becomes one, then we have achieved something. But We have just moved the Holocaust from Europe into Middle East. And this is the shameful part of it. We complain with 200 or 300 people in a month away in prisons as whatever, but hundreds of thousands of people are engaged in open prisons for past 40 years, 30 years. And they kill them and bomb them whenever they feel and they wish. Holocaust hasn't stopped. I
Mr.
said,
Keshe,
well, yep.
sorry, Mr. Keshe. In the ambassador meeting, you give them both the USB stick. Did they done anything with it? The Palestinian and
No, the USB stick was given by request of ambassador by ambassador in 2011.
from that time.
Yeah, that's how America got involved. We had 3 ambassadorial meetings in different ways, and the response has been different in different ways. The very first ambassadorial meeting was done in Belgium, in Ninove. That was when the Americans went head on, trying to block the Keshe Foundation. But it's what do you call it? It's the irony of the whole thing. In the next few weeks, we'll see how things take shape, how the things will move on, and how the things will bring different changes for all of us.
They even have the mother you give them.
Well, that was the third one,
Yeah,
in
third one,
Italy.
yes.
In Italy, we would have had more or less most of the ambassadorial appointed ambassadors in our meeting, but that day, coincidentally, the Italian government, because it was what do you call it, one of these programs for Europe in Milan, and nobody was going, the Italian government gave totally free tickets to get all the ambassadors to Milan. Some made it back, those who made it back, they came in. And they told us if we delayed by 1 day, more of the ambassadors, all the ambassadors will attend, but that's how we went through. But the most important for us was that we had the representative of the Vatican in, what do you call it, being present with the Prince of Malta. And he has built us a lot of strength in that way. But we'll see. There's a lot to happen in the next few weeks, and we'll see how it will take shape. And a lot of people would not like if what is about to happen, but it will happen in a way.
And especially when you change the fourth state of the matter to the
I explained something I think is good for you teachers to understand. We call the fourth systematic because we always try to get into run with what we call understanding of people at that time.
Yeah.
But in the teachings, as I said very recently again, in past few weeks, what we call plasma is the first state of matter. From the interaction of the plasma with inertia, we get the matter. It's not a fourth state. Matter is created out of the plasma. So it is the first state of matter. From slowing down in conditioned interaction with the inertia of the air or the water or the mass, we create the state of solid, liquid, and gas. Where do they come from? How can you have a solid if you don't have a plasma? So plasma should be the first state of matter, not the fourth state of matter, or the mother state of matter. Once we manage to bring the field forces of the environment together to create a plasma, and then we apply different inertias to it, it becomes solid, gas, and liquid. So the first state of matter, or the mother of the matter state, is a plasma.
Yeah, Mr. Cash, because they do not go this way, because they came to the to the existence that the matter is there, so they do not care about who created this matter, how it created. So that's why changed the game now.
We learn more. We learn more and more. Now we start looking at the true, not the physics of man, but the physics of the universe. We learn more. Our books will change.
We cannot wait for that time. Are we there yet? As you said.
Are we there yet? No.
Thank you, Mr. Cash, and happy birthday.
Yes, and that small teaching you gave at one point, Mr. Keshe, you said you take a couple of physics and then they form a chemistry, and a few chemistries form a biology, and a few biologies form a soul. But in another teaching, then I always thought it started with physics, but then in another teaching, you said you take a couple of plasmas and they create the physics. And then
Now you heard, now you understand what
yeah.
I've been trying to say.
Yeah.
The universe comes from plasma. Anyway, there's a lot to teach and a lot to learn. We just started. Up to now, we studied the condition of physics of matter, state as a man. Now we have to learn the physics of the universe in the shape of the fields and plasmas. The real work has just started.
Where is the grid come from?
Pardon?
Where is the grid come
Greed.
from?
Greed.
Yeah.
Greed.
Yeah, people's grid. Yeah.
It comes from a state of mind. It comes totally from state of mind.
How? I don't understand.
It's an emotion. Greed is part of the emotion, wanting more. Greed comes out of physicality. Interaction of different emotions of physicality.
So if we don't have body, so we don't have any greed?
Most probably, you know what they say, the man changed because of the woman. how did we become greedy?
Mm.
Try to possess.
Most probably.
Maybe hormonal problem.
Pardon?
Maybe hormonal problem.
Or maybe, I don't know. I don't know if God has got menopause, but it will be a very long pause if he has. But the reality is, if you look in a lot of English language words has exactly the meaning of what it says, like mortality or morality. Mortality, more to tell, mortality, because you want to live longer to be able to tell more. And the other one is like menopause, is when the woman put the man on a pause till they can get their hormones sorted. And so we have to understand what it means. Is that part of it? We do not know. But English language, if you read it the way it's written, has a collection of meaning of the act and effects. Mortality is you want to tell more to tell. How can it be? You cannot telling more because you die. So it's a terminology, it has a term on it. Morality is more of the reality, but which one is real?
Is any point of view?
I think being a foreigner and reading English, trying to remember it, forces you to look at things different way in remembering. We'll see.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And happy birthday too.
Thank you very much. We try to go more and more into the both dimensions of physical and soul, and new teachings, new technologies in the coming weeks will be opened up. New technologies are known to man. It's time for it, and hopefully we'll be able to do it in conjunction with the world scientists. We're looking forward to this.
Mr.
Yes.
Keshe, you've asked the Universal Council to elevate the new leadership in Iran, and I suppose to see peace in a new way. I suppose that also extends to the other world leaders as well, to try and elevate their souls with our souls. Is there something you could add to that that would make it more effective?
There's nothing we can add. They are the force on themselves, to themselves. If they realize what the power is, we've received a very shocking news in the past few hours that it can be interpreted or acted upon, and this is it will affect the whole operation of the Middle East. Another heinous job under the state, and as we said, our securities are very deeply embedded in. When we receive horrendous news like this, makes the foundation to act, makes us to react, trying to see what can be changed in this dilemma. And you'll see it needs a prayer of all of us, that we don't go into another pitfall of millions of people again becoming homeless. Again, we see one cycle of the refugees out of Iran if what is about to happen with the state of Israel and America in the background, to split Iran into 5 different states, what they tried to do in the Second World War, now they want to carry out, will bring more refugees and more pain across the Middle East. And as we see, this has to be the end of the states who think this way to set other people up. It is horrendous for this coming up, and how it's been well planned by the Israeli intelligence and American forces to start a cycle of mayhem in Iran, to split Iran into 5 different countries in the coming weeks and months. And we got 2 choices: to see an end of the most ancient history, or an end of the 2 recent short-living countries. And we have chosen the latter. This cannot be. And we'll see how it will turn up. But we have to see how man will change things. And how man will mature.
Since 2000 years, they didn't change. You think they will change?
Maybe you have to make some right guesses, Jalal. We'll see. When we see that there's a time for a change, there's a time for massive changes.
We need to tell the true story of the earth. Then people will know what is happening.
We have to wait and see. We have to wait and see. We have to wait and see how conditions will change.
Judging from what's been going on over the past few days, it's not just Iran. I don't know.
Enlighten us.
Well, what is going on in Tunisia?
Tunisia has been a sub-state of Israel for past 12, 15 years. Tunisia has been a hidden devil working and run by the Mossad through Islamic world. Tunisian embassies across Middle East and Central Asia has been used to infiltrate Mossad into the country. They've created many deaths and many problems. Tunisia has a long-lasting Jewish community, and they have used the Tunisian embassies as the places where they created and transported all the problems of Israel into nations. You do not know the truth.
But is this likely to spread to other countries?
It's most of the problems in Tunisia sits with the government of Israel.
I see. Thank you, and happy birthday, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you. Tunisia has been used as a what I call hidden arm of Israel to do wrongdoings across Middle East and Central Asia and North Africa. And now they got caught in what they thought they were clever by themselves within it.
And this is a similar plan to what was wanted for China, to break it up into 2 or 3 Chinas. Taiwan,
20 Chinas.
Mongolia, yeah, but I'm for 1 China, not 3 or 5. And it looks like the same plan on the table for Iran.
We will stop it.
Very well.
It will be stopped because we are aware of it. We will stop it. And I know the Jewish group was sitting in the background and listening to tonight, and they got the message. We'll see.
Thank you for joining us again, and happy
Thank you
birthday.
very much. Thank you very much.
No, Mr. Kash, I don't understand this thing. What the human do is seeking for energy. He kill for energy, he steal for energy, and he rob for energy. And this technology give him a free energy forever without doing all of these things. Why don't they go to it? It's really amazing, you know, what, like, you know, we have a small thinking, that's like, you know, a small knowledge seeker thinking. If I create this energy and I do not need to do anything, it's there for anyone would like to have anything he wants. So why I bother to steal from someone or to kill someone or to rob someone to have it? And it's free without paying anything.
We got to explain it one way or another.
Taxes, Jalal.
I wonder if you have to pay any taxes to the god. Have you ever seen any charges? You know, the taxes are the root cause of governments, creation of governments. If people couldn't collect taxes to do things, when you don't need anything, you don't pay taxes, then there would have been no government, no ruling. As it says in English, there are 2 things certainty: death and taxes. And the third one is the birth. So, which way we go? Why do we pay taxes? Do we pay taxes above birth? There's a lot of question marks which will be risen in the coming years. Would the man bring taxes on all the aliens, or would the man taxes people who were born on Earth and they go to Moon and Mars? Offshore, off-planet taxes.
I think, Mr. Cash, if you take them there, they will tax everything.
Transmutation fee.
Would the people coming from other planetary system pay taxes to our leaders?
Is a mankind.
Yeah, it's this kind of man which is not very kind to the man, isn't it? But it's just the way it is. Anyway, we'll see what it'll become, what will be the beginning of all these problems and the end of all these problems.
Jalal, is there a class coming up at 7 a.m. CEST today?
Can I say no? Yes, there is.
Anyway, wish you all the best and thank you for everything.
Thank you, Mr. Cash, for your
Thank you very much.
Have
We'll
a
see
great-
what comes up and what we can change. Don't be surprised if you hear a change of course in many ways. if it takes place, if it happens the way it's supposed to, will bring a lot of
Smiles.
maybe. Let's see what comes up. Thank you very much for today. I came in too late into the classroom.
No problem.
Tried to come through the back door and sit in the back row, but it didn't work. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. I love you.
Happy birthday, Mr. Keshe, in advance.
I'm
Happy
already
birthday.
in it. We already passed.
Oh,
all.
yeah.
Thank you very much indeed.
Oh, yeah, we're still behind, but happy birthday.
Happy
We
birthday, Mr.
all,
Keshe.
thank you very much. I hope we all come to a beautiful birth when it comes at the right day to be able to see the change. It's very close. It's closer than many of you can think. It's been said, as I said, Vatican and the churches and the mosques and medical religious leaders are waiting. They agreed that is imminent, the appearance of what they are expecting. Would that bring at that point where the war leaders and the kings will throw their throne to the ground? And that'll be the magic of the time. How can you claim kingship when the king is present? The true king. That'll be the amazing time.
We are learning to be observers.
We have been known to be the makers, so we have to see what we make.
Exactly.
Thank you very much and good night.
Good night.
Good night,
Happy-
Mr. Keshe.
Good night.
Happy birthday, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you
Happy
very much.
birthday, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you
Happy
very much.
birthday,
Happy
Mr.
birthday
Keshe.
to all of you. Thank you. very
Happy birthday, Mr. Keshe.
Birthday, Mr. Keshe.
Auguri, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you so
Auguri.
much.
Happy
much.
birthday,
Adore
Mr. Keshe.
We love
And
you.
so say all of us.
Stay.
Happy
Thank you very
birthday,
much.
Mr. Keshe. Welcome.
Thank you very much and good night.
Good night.
Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.